Welcome back to Bleacher Brawls, the home of the greatest rivalry in professional sports between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. It is your Sunday night, Monday morning show. We got a small crew. We're playing no games tonight. It is just casual show tonight. My name is Pat. I'm here with John and Luke. We're going to talk all the things we normally talk. Red Sox, Yankees, what's going on with both teams. We're a couple weeks into the season now, and we're just doing a little bit of a check-in. I'm going to start with Luke because John just disappeared. Luke, your first pitch. What's going on with you?
Had a nice weekend. Went to a trampoline park today for birthday of one of my daughter's softball teammates. So that was an experience. I got to jump around too. There wasn't a height or weight restriction on it, so it was some pretty good exercise. I can't bounce nearly as much as I used to when I was a kid, but I still have just as much fun doing it. It's just a little different when you got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old jumping around at the same time, and you've got to keep one eye on them and another eye on where you're landing and make sure you're not stepping on another kid that you don't even know. But it was a fun day. It was a great weekend for the Red Sox. One of their best series maybe their best series win of the season so far. So I am in a good mood right now.
John, what's up with you?
I'm doing good. It wasn't as bright of a weekend for the Yankees, obviously, but in my personal life, it was a pretty good weekend. San Antonio has quite a few trampoline parks, so I've actually been to a couple myself. And last time I went, I just landed, and I was okay, but just the way my knee kind of buckled, I'm like, I'm 40 years old. I'm never jumping on a trampoline again. I don't need that torn ACL.
You're 41 years old, John. Let's not try and skew
that was I was 40.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Now, God, no, I could 41. God, no, I'd hear everything.
Yeah, we do that field trip from time to time with my middle schoolers, and they're always trying to get me to, come on, and I'm just no. Like, the last thing I'm going to do is pull a hammy in front of you guys and have to get carted out of here or something. I'm good.
The best thing about this place is I was shocked to see when I got there that they serve alcohol. So I had a couple beers while I was there. Nobody else at the party. It's a big place. There's a lot of kids around, but it's just one of those places where there's a room for birthday parties. They give you a room the size of a prison cell, put 2 tables in it, and they bring some greasy pizza and some flat Dr. Pepper and Coke and water for the kids to enjoy. And you bring in your own cake. But at the concession area, they actually sold beer and wine. So I was like, oh, cool. So I got to have a couple of beers, which I'm sure made help enhance the whole trampoline experience. I probably jumped for a lot longer than I would have if I didn't have a little tackling fuel in me. So that was even better. That's another thing you'll find in Texas that you probably won't find in Massachusetts. I could be wrong, but this should be the live free or die state. I think New Hampshire there's nothing live free or die ish about New Hampshire. But I think the Lone Star State should also be, live free or die should be our slogan.
The only other thing I want to add before we jump into the show is the Red Sox arrive here in Baltimore tomorrow. I'll be at the Monday and Tuesday games. The Wednesday game is at 12:30 on a Wednesday, and I have work, so I won't be there. But if you see me around, say hi. And let's jump into it, guys. Speaking of Baltimore, John.
Don't expect to leave with your girlfriend tomorrow because I know Dean Kramer's starting.
I know he is. Yeah, I'm toast. John, Baltimore, speaking of, takes over second place in the division. Yankees are in a tie for third right now. I guess they have the tiebreaker for whatever reason. But 13-9, not a bad start. Kind of give me the State of the Union.
Well, the State of the Union is this is going to be a grind in the AL East this year. All these teams have no team is going to really stand out despite what Tampa's doing right now. And we're all going to fight. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. It's going to be really interesting to see how this AL East plays out. So for the Yankees, I mean, they're in good shape. I guess it's kind of how you want to start to finish out April, a couple games over 500. And we got some good news today that Rodon's throwing again. Obviously, there's going to be injury concerns there for the length of that entire contract. But Rodon's throwing again. Severino's throwing. The Yankees are going slow with Bader by their own words, where he's already started a rehab game, but they don't want to play more than a couple innings. I don't know. It's the Yankees trying to be the smartest people in the room and just whatever. So it's like there's a lot of hope on the horizon right now, but in this moment, it's just you got to grind through these next couple weeks till these guys hopefully start coming back.
Luke, I'll ask you about the Sox in a minute, but John, you mentioned Tampa Bay. Is anybody else concerned that Tampa Bay has built up this lead and now they'll just play the same baseball as everybody else, but they'll just keep this lead for the next 5 months because it's already too late and it's not like they're going to like dip down and be terrible for a week?
I'm gonna say no. That's not I wish I could remember what year it was. There was one year recently, like maybe 2016, 2017. The Red Sox started out April so hot. They were scoring 9-10 runs a game. They were just squashing everybody, even though the starting pitching wasn't doing all that well. But they were just out slugging everybody. I know, so that's a different scenario than Tampa's in right now. But it's just, no matter how many hot starts we see, and we've seen plenty in our lives, there's always some team that just starts out just on fire. I remember one time when I was a kid, the Brewers did it, like back in the Robin Yount and Paul Molitor days when they didn't have anybody else. And at the end of April, they were way up on everybody. It's too long of a season, and the gap between the best MLB teams and the not quite as good MLB teams is always, it's really razor thin. And the fact that the Rays are 19-3, 20-3, whatever they are right now, just tells me that when the losing streak starts, it's going to hit them hard. It's going to be 8 out of 10, 10 out of 12, something like that, because you can't fight City Hall. You can't beat the system. This is Major League Baseball. This is how baseball is. You're not gonna win 125 games in a year. And the rest of the teams in the AL East are too good, and they're not playing each other 19 times anymore. So the rest of the AL East is going to get to beat up on other teams, including the bad National League teams, which they used to not really get barely any games against every year. So it's intimidating to look at the Rays now and where they are right now, but it's inevitable. They're going to fall back down.
I hear what you're saying, but this is a huge, I mean, obviously they're not going to play it in, an 870 win percentage for the rest of the year, but even just 500 baseball from May on, they finish with 90 wins and they're going to be at least a 500 team. I mean, so I just feel like they've already, as long as it isn't that bad, as long as there isn't a 10 out of 12, like they're rolling.
But I would say to that though is because the AL East is so good, and they're 19-3, yet Boston is only 7.5 games behind them, which is still attainable. Like they can still come back. I mean, the Orioles 4.5 games, Blue Jays and Yankees 6. And maybe these aren't updated standings that I'm looking at on ESPN.com. But the point being, it's not, they've jumped out to a lot of wins, but because all these teams are so good, it's not like they've run away with the division like they would in some other divisions. If they were in, the AL Central, they'd be up 9 or 10. Kansas City's 5-17. So they'd be blowing other divisions away. I don't think it's going to happen in this division, and we will start playing them. 2 of their 3 losses was against Toronto. So and I know they swept Boston, but I don't expect them to sweep Boston all season long. Boston's going to come back and they're going to get their games. I think most of these teams, 12 games against each AL East team, right? So, I mean, in all likelihood, a lot of these
It's
teams
13.
are going 6-6 or 5-7, 7-5. It's going to be close, but we're going to chip away at Tampa as the season goes on. And we being collective AL East.
And look at the rest of the league right now. If you expand your gaze past the AL East, the Diamondbacks are still on top of the NL West. The Pirates are on top of the NL Central. The Pirates are 16-7, which makes me feel a whole lot better about the Red Sox being swept by them at Fenway Park. But are the Pirates that good? Are they a team that's going to finish 9 games over 500? It could happen. I'd be surprised, but they're only the Rays, the pace the Rays have set is only 3 games ahead of what the Pirates have set. So it's not, I mean, you see 19-3, and that's really like, wow, that's really, striking, but it's just baseball. It's just the nature of the game. I mean, 19 out of 22, it's pretty rare to start a year like that, but that's not that crazy of a streak, all things considered. How often does a team win 19 out of 22? I mean, it probably happens a couple times a year.
Yeah, to put in perspective, you think of the NL West as a tough division. They've got, 2, looks like 3 competitive teams this year. And the Red Sox, who are in last place in the AL East, would be in first place in the NL West right now.
Tied for first with the Diamondbacks.
With the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. What a sentence.
Yeah.
Exactly. Speaking of those last place, those poor last place 12-11 Red Sox, Luke. State of the Union.
I think it's looking good. I mean, 12-11, that's not it's not something to write home about. But I mean, when you look at what people were saying about this team during spring training, at the end of spring training, when Trevor Story went down, 8 games into the year, whenever that was, when Adam Duvall went down, and there was nobody hitting from the right side of the plate. It was like, I mean, people would have taken 12-11 and just said, "Oh, phew, thank God they're at least still competing." And when you look at the game like they had Sunday against the Brewers, it's just, look what they can do. And look what they have been doing lately. They beat the Twins 2 out of 3. They beat the Brewers 2 out of 3. They beat the Angels 3 out of 4. They've won every series since they got their butts whooped by Tampa. And I mean, they've lost 2 series the whole season. So I think the State of the Union they don't look like world beaters. I wouldn't say they look like championship contenders right now, but the biggest thing right now is their starting pitchers are healthy, and we now are going to be able to see an extended period of time, knock on wood, where the pitching staff that they want to field, that they were looking to field, as far back as the middle of 2022, is on the field right now, and those guys are going to be starting. And now we're going to actually see what this team looks like. And they didn't, they didn't fall 6 games behind 500 to get to that point. So I think it's really encouraging. You look at Red Sox Twitter before this weekend, it was very much doom and gloom. But we all know Twitter is the bastion of the reprobates, and some of the worst opinions in the planet, they're all on Twitter. All of the worst opinions on the planet are all over Twitter. So if you look around social media, it doesn't look so great, but when you just look at the team and what the expectations were coming into the season, I think it looks really good. And I'm always optimistic about the Red Sox. I have been for a few years now, but I'm very optimistic right now.
I think that was very true today, Luke, when when Cora said that Casas was the emergency catcher. Did you see this?
I did see that.
So Connor Wong, Reese McGuire pinch hits for Connor Wong, which I always get nervous when you pinch hit for your catcher, because what if the second catcher goes down? What do you do? It's not an easy position to back up. And I guess they thought the same thing when McGuire got clipped by that foul ball yesterday. And literally, I think you said you didn't see it. He couldn't throw the ball back to Cutter Crawford. He kept just throwing it to second base.
I didn't see that.
He did like 3 or 4 times in a row, and then he like retaped his hand and would do it again and just sky it over his head. And it was looking really scary for a minute. Core starts looking around, and they say today, well, I guess it's Casas, which I think is just like rookie hazing. Like, all right, if somebody's gonna get stuck back there, it's you. They're not gonna make Justin Turner do it. But everybody was freaking out that there aren't 3 catchers on the roster. How many teams have 3 catchers on the roster?
If there are more than 3 teams in all of Major League Baseball out of 30 that have 3 catchers on the roster, then I would be shocked. And I wouldn't even count the Blue Jays because Dalton Varsho is an outfielder that just happens to know how to catch. No, you can't, and that's what the minor leagues are for. If they need a catcher, if McGuire has to go on the IL, they bring up Alvaro. Or even if it's just a little injury and McGuire is going to be out 3 games, I think you still put him on the 10-day IL and you just bring Alfaro up and hope he doesn't screw up defensively too much on those couple games he's going to play. It's not that big a deal. And I mean, not having McGuire's bat sucks because McGuire's hitting like 375 or whatever he is, but it's not that big a deal. But yeah, I think I hadn't thought of the hazing angle, but that I could see that because Wong's just going to catch every inning unless he breaks his back or something under these scenarios. So yeah, get the gear on, Rook.
Exactly. John, back to the Yankees. What would you say is the team's biggest strength so far? I want to talk a little strengths and weaknesses. And, you got some guys coming back from injury. These are like definitely holes you want to plug up. But in the meantime, what would you say is going well?
I think what I like so far about this team this season is the Yankees pitching. This team, the bats are the bats, and Stan's went down with an injury and Torres went cold, so it's kind of par for the course. However, with the pitching, that's what I've been impressed with. I think that's kind of been what's helping the Yankees the most. Cole has been phenomenal this season. He's off to an amazing start. Hasn't given up a home run yet. Going deep, not yesterday, but the last start, I believe he threw a complete game, going 7 innings, giving the bullpen some relief. And Cole's just been amazing for the Yankees this season. He's been a real dominant ace. Now, Cortez, I think, again, some people really love Cortez and were like, this guy, he could be like a second ace. I don't know if he's that good. There was a little hesitance on my part this season, like going into the season, about how good Cortez really is. And he's just kept up what he's doing. He's really solidifying himself as a legit major league pitcher. He wasn't just a 1-year kind of fluke guy. He's really stepped into that number 2 role, and you have to be happy with what Cortez is doing. Johnny Brito is a rookie, and Johnny Brito has had 3 really good starts out of 4. He got rocked in 1 start, but again, he's a rookie. This is his 3rd major league start. Overall, he's impressed me, and I think if the Yankees can get Severino and hopefully Rodon back from injury, Brito's the type of guy that slides into that 5th role. Herman has had some okay games, has had some bad games, he's had some good games. Schmidt pitched well today. I was saying take him out of the game. I'm sitting here watching today's game saying take him out of the game. Like, he's already made it through the lineup twice. He normally doesn't do that well the second time through the lineup. You don't start letting him face the lineup a 3rd time. They don't take him out of the game. He starts giving up home runs. Whatever. That's a guy that'd be better off in the bullpen. And once we slide him over to the bullpen, I think it just strengthens the bullpen more. Though I'm not 100% sure who our closer really is going to be as the season progresses right now. But all in all, I think I'm pretty happy with the pitching, and I'd say that's the overall strength.
I think today, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like today's probably a separate issue. You're facing the Blue Jays, who are a good team, and if there's one thing Aaron Boone does or has the green light to do or is told to do, whatever it is Sunday afternoon games are like always punt lineup days. I mean, today altogether, Cabrera, Peraza, Higashioka, kind of Falefa, even Volpe leading off. I know he's been doing that for a while, but that's a tough spot to put the rookie in. It is punt the lineup day. We lose, we'll be all right. However, what's sticking out to me in this box score, Aaron Judge, 244 average.
Yeah, I mean that's it. The pitching's the strength. The lineup went cold. The lineup started off really hot those first couple of weeks with Torres, Stanton, and Judge, and they've all kind of gone cold. So it'll happen. That's why the pitching's what's really keeping them in it right now. And those bats will come around again. You know, Torres has kind of jumped out, getting out of his slump. Judge, you know, he normally doesn't slump for long. I'm sure he'll come back out of it soon. It's just, lineup's going a little cold right now, but the pitching has kept it in it. And that's it today. You had the punt lineup in, and you really kind of wasted a start out of Clark Schmidt. Because if you go to the bullpen early, which my biggest complaint, not biggest, but I always complain that the Yankees go to the bullpen way too early. Like, give a guy a little bit more length. Today's the day where, like, you got what you know you can get out of Clark Schmidt. And today's the day you don't go to the lineup early. Like, God, like, they just shoot themselves in the foot again and again.
We've seen that with Cole. Like, Cole is like, I'm going to pitch 8 innings every game. I'm not leaving this one up to the lineup. It's all him, and he's been cooking too. So Luke, go ahead.
Hold on. What's it? So like John, you're saying that the lineup's gonna come around, and I think you're kind of taking that for granted, because when you look at this lineup, until Stanton comes back, today, like you said, it was punt the lineup day. Who sat today that's normally not in the starting lineup other than Trevino?
Well, I think Stanton, if we're not saying injured, right? Are you saying like who's on the roster right now?
Yeah, I'm looking at the lineup. So today's lineup was Volpe, Judge, Rizzo, Torres, LeMahieu, Cabrera, Peraza, Higashioka, and Ikev.
Yeah, so you had Cabrera, who usually starts, was sitting, and LeMahieu pinch hit. He didn't.
No, Cabrera started.
Cabrera didn't start. I'm looking at yesterday's lineup. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was Volpe, Judge, Rizzo, Torres, LeMahieu, Cabrera, Peraza, Higashioka, and Ikev.
All right, what was today?
Well, they've been starting. Well, first of all, they've been starting Cordero a lot.
Yes.
They've been starting. Did Torres play today?
Torres did. He batted cleanup.
Okay. Calhoun has been in the lineup the past couple of days. I mean, it's definitely like.
So this is the lineup, except Stanton and Trevino.
It doesn't actually, now that I look at it.
Well, Stanton, Trevino, and Cordero. I mean, they've been playing Franchy every day.
I mean, if you want to call Franchy Cordero like,
anyway.
Well, I mean, that's just a. I mean,
Well, yeah, but I don't think Yankee fans look at the Yankees roster and say Cordero's a starter.
But it has been.
Well, yeah, Luke's right about that. So yes, today actually, now that I'm looking at it, like I didn't really think about the punt the lineup thing until you said that, Pat. And you're right. It usually is Sundays are punt the lineup day for the Yankees.
I think it just really feels that way with Stanton gone. I think he just like
right. It's every day is punt the lineup day, and like to the Yankees' credit, it's been working because of their pitching. So that's what I was getting at. It's like, you think the lineup's going to turn around, and it's just like I look at this lineup, and I mean it's pretty like bottom of the barrel kind of lineup. Like you got Judge and you got LeMahieu, and then you got Torres. I mean, earlier this season it was like, yeah, Torres is back to that guy he was in 2018, but it's just I look at it, and I'm not even trying to troll or anything right here. It looks like a really cruddy lineup, and like so Rodon coming back from injury is the big
you're forgetting about Harrison Bader though.
Thing that
I know Harrison Bader's still coming back, and he's going to add to that lineup because then
245 career 245 hitter.
Judge, Rizzo, Torres, LeMahieu, or like that's 4 guys in the middle of your lineup. You're forgetting. I either didn't say Rizzo or whoever, but it's Judge, Rizzo, Torres, and LeMahieu. That's a solid 4 guys in the middle of the lineup. I agree with that. You had Bader as the leadoff hitter, and then you have Cabrera batting under that, and then you're piecing together the bottom of the order after that.
I think it's a lot better when you're having Volpe bat 9th instead of first.
Right, and I'd much rather have Volpe batting 9th, but in a couple weeks, Bader's back, and that all ends. And I'm sure they'll find some kind of piece at the trade deadline. But yeah, I don't think this is a punt lineup every day, though. I mean, I think this is they're making it work, and they have an okay lineup. I don't think it's their strength at the moment, but
with their pitching, they're making it work because of their pitching, and that's what I was saying. Like Rodon is the guy that everyone's looking at, like, I feel like Yankee fans are looking at, well, wait till Rodon gets here. Then you put Clark Schmidt back in the bullpen, but it's like Rodon's not going to contribute to the offense. Stanton will when he comes back, and Bader is, for all you make fun of Kike Hernandez, he's a career 239 hitter or whatever. Bader's like a career 245 hitter. He doesn't hit like he hit in the playoffs last year all the time. So as just what my take on my unsolicited take on the Yankees offense.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I had to write this down because it was getting all jumbled in my head. But I agree that a Judge, Rizzo, Torres, DJ, whatever combination of that four is that's a pretty solid four. There aren't a whole lot of fours better than that, I feel like. It does 7 and 8 gets a little black holey. And we know that with the Red Sox lineups that we've seen the past couple of years. I mean, we've had enough of the bottom three being Plawecki, Dahlbeck, and Cordero, that it was just a wasted inning,
Yeah. So we know of what we speak when we talk about this having a horrible back half of the lineup. And I noticed the look at Franchy Cordero tweets from Yankee fans are now, what happened to Franchy? Why can't we get the Franchy from a week ago? And
no one believed it. We were just really sticking it to you guys. All right. No one thought Franchy Cordero was going to keep up the pace he was hitting, but for the time being, it was let's stick it to these guys.
Pretty sure he has the same amount of AL Player of the Week awards as he has AAA demotions.
Franchy Carpenter.
Luke, in terms of the Red Sox, John says the rotation for the Yankees is the big plus right now, and I would agree. This sounds so weird to say when Whitlock gets shelled yesterday and gives up 5, and Bayo is building up. They have him on a very short leash. Would you say the same thing is true about the Red Sox, that right now the pitching is the big plus?
No, but the starting pitching is looking a hell of a lot better this week than it did a week ago. The strength of the Red Sox has been the offense, and I haven't looked at the updated stats. Last week around this time, I think they were 4th in Major League Baseball in runs scored, but they haven't really. They haven't all gotten cold at the same time, which is, I think, as I've mentioned on previous shows, a key indicator of a good offense. They kind of take turns getting hot and they take turns leading the way. But just the offense has just been uncool-offable, really, the whole season. Duvall goes down, and him and Devers were carrying it the first week and a half, but I mean, Verdugo and Devers haven't been at the top of the order all season long, all 23 games, giving pop, timely hitting, and consistency at the top of the order. They hit more than anybody else, and they have been, Devers hasn't been so consistent with getting hits, but he's spacing the home runs out. He's not getting them in bunches and then doing nothing. And he's playing, he made a great defensive play today to start a double play, but we're talking about offense right now. Kike Hernandez, the leader of the Boston Red Sox. He just finished it. He just had an 8-game hitting streak snapped. I told everybody he was going to come around. Nobody seemed to believe me.
232, but that's really coming around.
His average literally went up 110 points in the last week and a half. Reese McGuire, who just banged his hand up. Hopefully that doesn't hurt his hitting long-term, but he's hitting 361. Justin Turner starting to come around the last week and a half or so. He's up to 272, and his on-base percentage is 375 or something. Masataka Yoshida, I can't believe it took me this long to mention him today, mostly because I made most of my notes before the game happened today. But guy is just starting to feel it. Started off cold. He's starting to get in tune with Major League pitching. He's starting to feel comfortable, I think, but had, I think, 6 hits this weekend against Milwaukee, maybe only 5, but 2 home runs in 1 inning today, including a grand slam. I think he's getting a feel for his role on this team, and I think now we're going to see him start to deliver the way we were expecting him to deliver, a lot less weak contact. And I mean, Jarren Duran coming from out of nowhere. I think he's 9 for, no, He was 9 for 17 or 7 for 19 or something. I don't know. He's hitting like close to 500. No, I think he's hitting 390 something, actually. I'm sorry. But he's been squaring balls up, hitting balls hard to left field and center field. Seems like a different kind of hitter now. He couldn't square up anything last year. And I think whatever he tweaked with his stance or whatever he's looking like a major league contributor beyond his speed, which he never was before. So up, top to bottom, this lineup has been delivering all season, and they've had to do it to get 12 wins like this because the pitching was so rough. The Corey Kluber starts, that first Bayo start, those first couple Sale starts. They've needed their offense. I knew their offense was going to rake this season. They have been so far. That's clearly the strength. There's not really, you look at a bottom of a lineup with Duran and Wong and Chang in it. And before the season started, you would have thought, holy Mary, they're going to get creamed. But everyone seems to be hitting the ball hard now.
I'm sorry. What did you say about Verdugo? Because there's no way he keeps up the pace he's hitting all season.
He's hitting 322. It's not like he's hitting 380.
And he's a 280 hitter for his career?
Something like that. I think right at 280 before the season started. But I think that a lot of that's Alex Cora challenged him at the end of the year. Last year, we need more from who do you need more from next year in the offensively? Alex Verdugo. He said it without hesitating. And Verdugo's he's running faster now. He's throwing the ball farther. He's squaring up more balls. If you look at his baseball savant page, Derek sent it to the Red Sox chat earlier today. It's like he's in the red with 10 out of 14 categories or something like that. He's just, now we've seen him get hot before. I called him a pretender on the Red Sox show last week. I don't believe it until I've seen it for a whole season, because we've seen him have great halves mixed with bad halves of seasons. But it's something different about him now. I think he's less goofy. He seems more focused. He's not doing stupid stuff all the time. He's only got one doogie this year in 23 games. I figured he'd have at least 5 by now.
And this is a contract year for him, or that's next year?
Next year.
Yeah, the baseball savant, other than barrel percentage and walk percentage, which he's never going to walk. I mean, he loves to swing. That's got to be 4 balls in the other batter's box for him to walk. Yeah, it's all red. Significant improvement. To a couple things that you said, Luke. Duran is hitting 391. He's 9 for 23. Which I think has a lot to do with, he looks completely different at the plate. He's got his hands a lot lower. He's a lot quicker to the ball. He was behind on everything last year, and they're not letting that happen now. Your Devers point, Rafi leading the American League in home runs right now at 8, which is roughly a 55 home run pace. And your comment about the offense, the Red Sox have the 3rd most runs in the league. The Yankees 20th, right behind the San Francisco Giants.
Which is if you asked me, would I rather have a top 3 offense or a top 3 pitching staff? If I had to choose one, I would probably take a top 3 pitching staff, just because I think it's
the
Yankees are number 2 in ERA.
Yeah, I just think that if you have really good pitchers, that's gonna more times that you're gonna squeak out enough runs. If you're winning 2-0, 3-1, 1-0, 4-2, you're winning a lot of games like that. Those are the kind of games you win in the post. Those are playoff games go like that. So I think that's more of a sign of a team that can sustain a long run. Whereas offensive explosions always have an expiration date. So, in all fairness, but who doesn't love watching a good offense?
The Red Sox come 26th in ERA, just behind the Cincinnati Reds.
I would love to see how that would look if you take out Corey Kluber's starts.
They've been pretty bad. I'm so pissed that he's one of the two starters I'm seeing this week. Sale and Kluber. Bottom five in ERA. It's Athletics, Rockies, Royals, White Sox, and Red Sox. Which I feel like,
and that's after they've done well the last week. This Twins series and the Brewers series, except that one game against the Twins that I can't remember who started that game, but they've held the opponents to, they've held the opposition pretty well.
Yeah, they are. Looks like 10th in reliever ERA. The Yankees are first, actually. Speaking of that bright side, 2.44 reliever ERA for the Yankees. Red Sox are 10th. I'm trying to pull up starters to see. Obviously, it's not that easy.
And that's without a closer.
Take out Kluber. The Yankees are 6th as starters, and the Red Sox are 29th. And so it's the A's at 30th with an 8.88 ERA. They don't have a single starter with a win yet. And then it's a 2-run jump to a 6.61 starter ERA from the Red Sox.
Wow. 6.
and like you feel that though, like I said, Bayo on a really short leash. Whitlock, supposed to be the second coming. Hasn't, he had that one start that looks fine, but otherwise hasn't looked that great yet. Got shelled by Milwaukee yesterday. Sale, we're all talking about Chris Sale's back. It's only been one start, he's got to do well and stay strong. Baltimore lineup tomorrow. And yeah, Kluber's just been junk. So it's been rough.
It has been. Things are looking up because of those good starts from the guys returning, but that's a process. Look how long it took Sale to have his really good start against the Twins, and who knows what it's going to look like tomorrow against a really good offense in the Orioles.
John, 3 weeks into the season, I know you got some guys coming back. We've been talking about those guys. Big starter, your leadoff guy coming back. That's going to bump your current leadoff guy to the 9-hole. But what do you feel like is just not going to change and needs to be changed about this team for it to stay competitive?
Well, Pat, you're right, because it's not going to change. It's the Yankees' problem year in and year out. It's injuries and Brian Cashman and his baseball nerds and how they just bungle and mishandle injuries and along those lines. Like we talked about this earlier, the Yankees, Harrison Bader, like, oh, well, we're going to take this really, really, really slow and drag him out. Oh, we'll only let him play like 2 innings at a time, get like 1 at bat or whatever. Like, why are you doing that? Like, that's not how it just seems so stupid. Like, oh, we're going to be different than everybody else in the way we handle injuries. And again, this is injuries. The injury bug really is the weakness on this team. Because Stanton injured every single season, can't play a full season. Rodon, we signed this guy knowing there were injury history there and potential for more injuries. Severino is always on the DL. This team just can't keep guys healthy, and as long as that's going to be it, like as long as you can't keep players on the field, it's just going to be a problem. And it's year in, it's year out, and at some point, again, like I blame Brian Cashman for everything, rightfully so. But like, what is going wrong, like with this your training staff? I know Judge has been like the one guy that kind of figured it out, that did have some injury problems, but managed to stay healthy the past couple of seasons. I know the Yankees like to take credit for that, but was it the Yankees or was it just Aaron Judge figuring it out on his own? Because year in and year out, we see the same injury bug problem, and we see injuries handled just differently than everybody else. I don't know right or wrong, but definitely differently. So it seems wrong. That's the Yankees' weakness right now, and it's who knows if it'll ever get fixed until they hire me as a general manager.
Those are all older guys, though, and you got Rizzo in his back too. You didn't mention that, but those are all.
Thank you for.
I wasn't gonna let you miss that one. Yeah, those are all older guys, so I don't think it's. We talked about this on the Red Sox show a couple weeks ago. I can't remember who it was. What's up with the training staff? And it's like, the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees have the best, I guarantee have the best doctors, the best PAs, the best nurses, I don't know if they have any nurses on staff, the best trainers, the best everything. Like, they know what they're doing. I don't think you can blame the training staff. It's just the grind of a season and what baseball takes the toll baseball takes on a, but look at how pitchers, everybody throws 96 now. So it should be no surprise that every pitcher is having arm problems, and it's just the nature of baseball. And the Red Sox are, last year slammed with injuries, and this year already have gotten their share of injuries. It's just the nature of the beast. And unless you're like the Rays and you're fielding teams with 23 to 26-year-old guys, it's just always going to happen. No matter how you could change out the entire training staff every year, I don't think the results would be any different.
But these guys aren't, you say they're older guys, but they're not that old. Giancarlo Stanton is 33. It's his 6th season with the Yankees. You've had injury problems since the beginning. So these injury problems started when he was like 27, 28 years old. Anthony Rizzo, bad back at 33. So Yankees, this is his 3rd season with the Yankees. So they got him at 30 and he already had like back issues. At what point, like, I just have a hard time believing that, like, yeah, we talk about older players, but these guys aren't 37, 30. These aren't Justin Turner guys, all right? These are still like early 30s, and they shouldn't be having the same kind of problems they have. And yeah, pitching is different, obviously, because everyone's throwing in their 90s, and, like, you got your next door neighbor kids, like, throwing at 80 at 12 years old, and the dad's already signing them up for Tommy John surgery, like, it's... But like, so pitching is different, but yes, the Yankees injury problems. This is going back to a lot of these players. It's been time and time again for seasons. Not even just this current team. The Yankees have injury bug year in and year out, and it's not always just the older players.
But you're talking 33 years old as a guy in your 40s, and you're talking about players that have been playing major league seasons for 10 years or more. Like Rizzo was pretty young when he came up with the Cubs. Stanton 22 when he was playing every day with the Marlins. I think it's more a matter of miles rather than years.
Luca, on the flip side, what do you see as just a problem for the Red Sox that's just not going to get better and needs to be tweaked?
Well, I don't really, you could say injuries, like with the Red Sox, because that keeps happening, so just like with the Yankees, Duvall goes down with his wrist. When he comes back, is his wrist just going to be all weak still and not do very well? Story, we're looking forward to Story coming back to play shortstop. Is that elbow going to hold up after this Jimmy Rig surgery with the brace instead of the full-on Tommy John? But their biggest weakness has been the starting pitching, and I think that's going to get better. You just gave the numbers for the starting pitchers. Chris Sale and Garrett Whitlock have each had one great start, and all of their other starts have been average or poor. But it's on an upward trend, I feel like. Whitlock's last start on Friday, or was it Saturday? It was Saturday, the game they lost. Wasn't great, but, 4 innings, 5 runs against a good team that's in first place. Can see that. Bayo on Sunday, I'm encouraged by that. It was pretty much the same exact start that Whitlock had on Saturday, but it's trending up. Like, these guys weren't pitching in the major leagues 2 weeks ago, and now they're getting their footing. So it's other than Kluber, who's been a waste and should be in the bullpen. It's looking better. And you could look at the stat lines for each starting pitching stat on an Excel spreadsheet. You look at each starting pitcher's start. If you started with game 1 and then going down, you definitely notice a striking trend that it's looking better. And but Tanner Houck has been the only one who has been solid the whole time. But the thing is, you weren't expecting Tanner Houck to be solid for his first 5-6 starts. So that's a good thing. Bayo and Whitlock and Sale seem to be trending in the right direction. That's a good thing. Nick Pivetta, had a bad start and then didn't have another really bad start on Friday. He did well in a win. So that's a good thing. So I don't think other than injuries, I don't see a Red Sox issue that's not going to be fixed. Starting pitching is by far their biggest weakness right now, but it's not nearly as much of a weakness as it was a week ago, unless that was all flash in the pan stuff. And it's just, and those guys that were coming back from injuries just regress right back. I think it's going to be more of a mixed bag until midseason or so. Whitlock and Bayo and Sale, they're going to have their good starts. They're going to have their bad starts. But as the season goes on, I think the good starts are going to outweigh the bad ones more and more. And by the All-Star break, I think we're going to be looking at a team that is has the inside track on a playoff spot.
All right, so we're going to rapid fire these last two, okay? So I want to ask each of you guys your biggest surprise on the team so far and your biggest disappointment on the team so far. John, I'll start with you. Rapid fire, your biggest, most pleasant surprise on the Yankees.
I guess Nestor Cortez showing that he can follow up last season into this season. I wasn't expecting this. I'm trying to
it was in the agenda.
Yeah, no, really. I
pretend like I make these up on the spot, but I never do.
No, I swear to you, I read the agenda. I just missed that one. I was ready
You've got to edit
biggest weakness and
you've got to edit that out. What you just said. You've got to edit it out of the episode.
No, everybody knows the truth. I'm not that good of an actor.
Yeah, I was ready for the other ones. Yeah. Biggest surprise. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so I'll let Luke go surprised that you think disappointment. You got 30 seconds to think here. Although knowing Luke, you got 4 minutes to think here. Luke, your most pleasant surprise on the Red Sox so far.
I was hoping John would just say Volpe because he hit a home run Sunday, and I was just hoping I could say really, because how many parks would that have been a home run in? But my biggest pleasant surprise for the Red Sox is
I
Josh.
didn't even say anything, and you just had to take a shot. Let's just pretend John said this so I can make this comment.
My biggest pleasant surprise is Josh Winkowski. He's been killing it in middle relief and long relief at times. I expected him to do well this season, but I expected him to do well in kind of mop up detail or coming in a sixth inning and holding a lead in a slugfest or reducing the damage when the Red Sox are way down. I thought he would really show his worth when somebody got hurt as a starting pitcher, coming in for spot starts or to fill in for some guy on the IL for a few weeks. But he's been killing it. He's got in 16 and a third innings, he's given up 3 earned runs, 11 hits, 15 strikeouts, 4 walks, a 1.65 ERA, and a 0.918 WHIP in 16 and a third innings. He's been the best pitcher on the Red Sox entire pitching staff other than Kenley Jansen. Again, I think he's going to be a good player in the major leagues. I thought so before the season started too, but he's been so important, saving the bullpen from these horrible starting pitching performances we've seen. And now with Chris Martin hurt, he's been even more critical, and he's really stepped up in a really big way. Josh Winkowski, Cutter Crawford's been a big positive as well. I won't call him a surprise because I've been high on Crawford since early last year, but Winkowski by far, he's been great.
But since you got Winkowski expecting him to be a starter, can he really be like a surprise? It's kind of a disappointment at the same time as you thought you were getting a starting pitcher.
Well, he hasn't had any starts, so he hasn't had any bad starts. So I can't say it's been bad.
I think isn't that a positive problem? You have too many starters, so you have to make some of them 3-inning guys.
I know this Red Sox team has just got too many great starting pitchers right now. It's rough. That's why we're 29th in the league.
I'm sure Cutter Crawford feels that way. Like, come on, guys. Really? I'm the one that gets punted. John, your biggest disappointment so far?
Giancarlo Stanton getting hurt again. Just he was raking. He looked so good, locked in, like it's something to prove. Thought, man, if this guy can stay healthy, it's going to be a big season from him. So naturally, he gets hurt, slowing down. He's running and slowing down, and hurt his calf or whatever it was this time. So yeah, that's my disappointment.
Another John curse, because Stanton was feeling good to John. He was feeling real good to John.
He was. Luke, your biggest disappointment?
Christian Arroyo. I've been saying positive things about Christian Arroyo for 2 years. I expect him to be a reliable bat, a reliable glove at second base in the 8 or 9 hole this season. And it just hasn't worked out. That hot start in 2021, really, I didn't even know who he was. I had never heard of him before 2021. And he got off to a hot start in 2021. I was really high on him right away. And he had a great second half last year. So I thought a healthy 2023 would really be his path to being an important part of the team and maybe being a guy that Chaim Bloom's got to consider, maybe he's worth a 2-year contract, 3-year contract as to be, a second baseman and then, a utility guy. He's one of those guys that just feels snake bit to me. He has talent, but he can't put the health and the performance together at the same time. He's really never done that in his career. Is he injured right now? I don't even know, because I heard some mutterings about he might be hurt. He might be going on the IL when the Red Sox made the move. I think when they made the move to bring up Yu Chang, people thought the corresponding move was putting Arroyo on the IL. That didn't happen. Anyway, Arroyo, he's my first DFA option when Adam Duvall comes back or when Trevor Story comes back. He's hitting 180 slash line of 189, 218, 245, 463. No home runs, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts. I don't know how he got 2 walks. I haven't seen him take a pitch this year. I don't think. He's swinging at sliders 9 miles out of the strike zone. He just looks like a mess.
You're going to DFA Arroyo before Chang?
Yeah.
So,
I like Chang.
So
like
Chang
a lot.
has had a good 2 weeks, and he plays a really sharp shortstop. And even though he exists on this 40-man roster to be cut when somebody else comes back, you think he has earned a spot over Arroyo?
No, I take issue with that. No, Chang has had a good 4 days. He hasn't had a good 2 weeks. I mean, he's been playing good defense for 2 weeks. He's had 3 good games. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way I see him play defense, he can play. I feel like he can play all 4 infield positions if needed. And he doesn't have that freaking injury bug that Arroyo has. And it's just, I can't get excited about Arroyo because I just know an injury is right around the corner. And I hate guys who swing at everything. I really can't stand guys who can't take pitches.
So just very quickly, because I'm bothered by this. Last year, Chang plays for 4 different teams, 4 games for Cleveland, 18 games for Pittsburgh, 36 for Tampa Bay, and 11 for Boston. He's already at 15 for Boston this year. I would call him more of a model for Major League Baseball uniforms than I would a Major League Baseball player at this point.
I don't find him that attractive. I don't think he's a model.
He's a bad teammate. Played for 4 teams in the same season.
I mean, he had hit 25 home runs for 5 different teams that didn't want him for more than a year, then yes, you'd have a point, John.
I mean, he is the league bicycle. I mean, like, he is just one of those guys that just gets bounced around. I mean, like, there are guys like that, and he's one of them. And this is his 2 months in Boston, and then he's going to go play for Seattle in July.
Arroyo's my first DFA option, and I know he's out of options, so it would have to be DFA. Chang could probably be sent down. I think. I'm not sure about that, but it's still like if you're gonna get hurt all the time, and if you can't and you got no plate discipline whatsoever, I got no use for you. I mean, at least Chang has delivered. He's had some hard hit balls, and he did really well in the WBC. Just so that's still in my mind too. And I just don't think, I think I've seen Arroyo's ceiling. His talent has a much higher ceiling than his body does. And I just think his body's going to continue to be tram. And Chang, I like the way Chang plays defense. And I think he's got more defensive versatility than Arroyo does. And I don't think his body's going to break down like Arroyo's. You need the 26th guy on your roster, I think, should be able to play a lot of different positions and stay healthy all the time.
Yeah, it's tough when you realize that Arroyo is going to be 28 in a month, and this should be the prime of his career. And he rides the bench right now because he's like kind of injured, kind of not injured.
He swings at everything.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I agree. I think he's got a great talent, but he just, for whatever reason, his body or whatever it is, just can't keep it all together. All right, fellas, this is like our 3-week-ish check-in on the season so far, our 20 to 25 game check-in. Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
I want John's honest to God thoughts about Anthony Volpe, because I think the Volpe hype train has already dwarfed the Tristan Casas hype train from the last couple of years. And Volpe's doing better than Casas right now. His average is 200, and Casas is like 140 something. But and after that shallow fly ball that drifted out of Yankee Stadium to right field, it was just, Twitter just exploded. Like, oh, the earth, the stadium shook. This is my guy, Anthony Volpe. He's arrived. It was like he popped a fly out of Yankee Stadium, to make it 2-0 in a game that Peralta blew 5 minutes later. I mean, just what do you think about Anthony Volpe, John?
Before I answer that, how many players have hit like a ball high in the air, like 260 feet, that have gone over the green monster, and Red Sox fans are going crazy for? All right, like, ballparks are your ballparks. Like that, and Red Sox fans have benefited from that green monster more than anybody. You got it. I don't care what you think about the short porch. Like, give it a rest already.
That would have been a double at Fenway, not a home run.
It would have been, in right field. But if you hit that same distance to left field, like, that's in the street, Yankee Street, whatever.
It's a double off the wall in Fenway.
That's a home. That ball is in the street. But whatever. Yeah, what was the question, Anthony Volpe? No, I mean, I think he's playing all right. He's not. I don't think I personally didn't expect him to come up here and light the world on fire. He's playing like he belongs. Just had his first error today, so I mean, he's really played pretty good defense. He's made some good plays at shortstop. He gets on base. He can steal a base. He runs hard, and he's adjusting to major league pitching. He's 1 month into his career. He's hitting 200. So I'm glad to see he's got the opposite field power to hit home runs in Yankee Stadium. So that's going to be beneficial to his career. And yeah, I mean, I think he looks like he's going to be a major leaguer. There's certain, the way he carried, like, God, I've talked about this. You don't want to compare him to Derek Jeter because that's not fair, but there's certain ways he just carries himself, or like he plays where he just looks like, like this kid looks like he belongs. So I don't know. Not saying we've got ourselves another 3,000 hit all-time shortstop, like 6 all-time in hits or anything here.
Kind of what you just said.
I think he'll be all right. So yeah, I mean, I do want to pull it on the hype train. I know people like that's a fair point. As much, broke clock is right twice a day, Luke. When it comes to you talking about the Yankees, that's right. Like, the hype train does need to calm down because he's not lighting the world on fire. He's more of a ninth hitter. I know some people want him batting leadoff. He's too young. He doesn't belong there right now. But as a ninth hitter, playing good shortstop, good defense at shortstop, I'm happy with his production so far. I think he's got a lot of potential. He seems like he has the right head for it. But yeah, the hype train does need to slow a little bit on this guy.
And I need to mention one more time just about the weekend Masataka Yoshida had, about the 8th inning that Masataka Yoshida had. It's really incredible to see his power stroke. 2 bullets. The first home run in the 8th inning it felt like it got about 15 feet high, but it still made it out of I almost said County Stadium, which is where Milwaukee played when I was 12. But out of that park, American Family Park, whatever it is. And that second one was a missile into the second deck. We're just seeing the beginning of Masataka Yoshida. He's for real. And he's, call him Hideki Matsui if you want to. I feel like that's kind of what I'm expecting out of him, which is a hell of an acquisition if that comes to fruition.
All right, folks, I think we're going to wrap it up there. We got the Yankee show coming out this Wednesday, Red Sox show this Friday. If you catch me at the either one of the Red Sox games on Monday or Tuesday, yes, I do charge for autographs and I charge double for pictures, but it'll be cool to see some Bleacher Brawl fans out there. Anything we want to plug? I've got a review of Draft Day, football movie Draft Day, coming out tomorrow for the NFL draft this week.
I think John's got his starting 9 for his favorite wrestlers coming in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I am. I'm putting the finishing touches on that. So I thought it was scheduled for Friday, but if we need it done sooner, I'll have it done sooner, folks.
Oh, okay. All right. I heard. Okay. Never mind. And I'll have a Red Sox column up on Tuesday. It's probably going to be a lot of praise for Masataka Yoshida and praise for myself for expecting big things from him.
What better way to end it, folks? All the places to find us: Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, bleacherbrawls.com. You can find all those links in the description of this episode, either wherever you listen to your podcast, where you're rating us 5 stars and leaving us a nice review, or on YouTube, where you're subscribing and hitting the notification bell. Wherever it is, we will see you guys either on Wednesday for the Yankees show, Friday for the Red Sox show, or maybe both. Until then, we will see you guys next time.
I'll be halfway up the Green Monster at Fenway.
All right, folks, that's the latest episode of Bleacher Brawls. Thanks for tuning in, for rating us 5 stars and leaving us a nice review. And don't forget to check us out on bleacherbrawls.com, on YouTube, and on Twitter.